Welcome back to Nye County. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We did talk about the Fall Festival. We had Sally Kerr here. We talked about the gas tax. You heard me ramble on about that. And then we just talked about a few of the other good things we have here in Nye County and how no matter what it is with some people, they're against it. And no matter how it plays out, they're against it. Next month, when I host the show, I will have a guest in each segment because I think it's probably boring for you looking at me this whole time. But tonight, I need to finish up with something I started with. And I will have another clip for you, too. I hope you're enjoying the clips. You know what? Email us here. I'm sure there's a website that they can put up. And tell us what you think of the show. I'm sure I'm going to get my same fans who hate my column right in, but that's fine. I do write a weekly column in the local paper called The Ramblings of a Madman. And I called it that because I figured I'd just beat you to the punch. Anyway, we're going to talk about the national political scene, who I like, why I like them, and why I don't. Support other things. My pick for this year is Ben Carson. Now, I don't know if you've seen Ben Carson, if you've talked to him, if you've heard him. You have a picture of him, don't we? Let's put him up there. That's Dr. Ben Carson. All right, so let's come back here. Dr. Ben Carson's a neurosurgeon. He signed the front of a check. He knows what it's like to run a business. So right there, he's about 1,000% better than the guy we got in the White House now. Unfortunately for him, he is a Republican, and oh my gosh, the media hates colored people who are Republicans. They don't like any kind of colored people who are Republicans, whether they're black, brown, any other, you know, they think that Republicans are just old fat white guys, kind of like me, who are, you know, nothing but businessmen, and you know, all they want is business. Well, business is good. It's what you know, pays everybody's salaries. But anyway, Ben made a statement a week ago on a Sunday morning show. He was asked, it was a leading question by the NBC guy who does a morning show now. I can't think of his name offhand. And his question was, with all the things about Obama being a Muslim, a secret Muslim, do you think a Muslim should be elected president? First off, it's a leading question. I don't think he'd ask that of anybody else, but he asked it of Ben, trying to make him look, of course, like he's just a crazy conservative. And Ben gave him an honest answer. The question was, should America elect a Muslim president? And Ben said no. He said no, America shouldn't elect a Muslim president. And the guy went on about religion, and Ben said there is, you know, that he doesn't say that a guy can't run who's a Muslim, but your religious beliefs matter if they're antithetical to our Constitution or the American way of life. And guess what? Sharia law that Muslims follow is antithetical to the Constitution and American way of life. He said nothing wrong. Of course, CARE, that's a nice acronym for Council on American Islamic Relations, and it makes them sound like they care, came out right away and blasted him. Oh my gosh, how could he say such a thing? What did he say wrong? He said, in his opinion, we shouldn't elect a Muslim president. Oh, well, that's bigoted. No, haven't you noticed? But there's a lot of Muslims in, you know, the Middle East, some of them that live here, who are radical, who believe that we are the great Satan, that we need to be overthrown, that our culture is evil and vile. We're not the ones who beat our women and can kill our daughters if they shame us, but still. So Ben, in my opinion, gave an honest answer, and it was excoriated in the press. And then you had one of the other Republicans running for president, you know, said, well, there is no test. It's in the Constitution whether you can, you know, no religious test. Well, that's not what he said. Again, what he said was we shouldn't elect one. He didn't say he couldn't run. A Muslim could run for president. Should we elect him? No, especially if they are very faithful Muslims. Now, I understand there's you know, Sunday Christians, there's Jack Mormons, there's people who were raised a certain religion, don't really follow it. That's one thing. But if you are a fundamentalist Muslim, you shouldn't hold any office in this country. I think it's antithetical to our Constitution. It's antithetical to the American way of life. Simple, simple. But the media is, of course, not showing faux pas or what they consider faux pas or mistakes from their socialist candidates in the Democratic Party, but they are going after all the Republicans. So let me tell you why I support Ben Carson. Ben Carson is not a politician. He's not run for office over and over. He is a businessman. He is a very intelligent businessman. We need somebody, I think, in the Oval Office who is not part of that system. You know, our elected officials were supposed to be people who went, served, and went back home. I'm a county commissioner here. This is the only office I've run for. It's the only office I ever care to hold. I don't know that I'm going to run again in 4 years because this will be my second term. George Washington served 2 terms and went home. I think that was the model. That was the model for all elected officials. You should not be in Washington for 30 years. You shouldn't be in the Senate or in the House for 30 years where they have to wheel you in and raise your hand for you to make a vote. You should go in, you should serve, and you should get out. 12 years, 2 terms for a senator, more than enough. Get out. Go back home and live under the laws that you put forward. Unfortunately, we have college courses that teach people how to be career politicians. This is going back again. We're going backwards, folks. This is a republic of the people, by the people, for the people. We elect those people to represent us of the people, the general population, regular folks. We elect them to serve for us. They are elected by the people, that's us, and they work for the people, that's us. And then, while they're in there, we watch. We watch what they do. If they do as they said, if they're a man of conscience or a woman of conscience, and vote for what's best for their constituents and for their city, town, state, then yeah, re-elect them. If they don't re-elect them. We are not a democracy. We don't vote on every issue that comes before us. We vote on the people who represent us. And that's why it's so important to get out and vote, not just in presidential years. We got to get out and vote in the off-presidential years because those are the people who most affect you. Local positions like mine, we affect you more every day, day in and day out, with local services, local roads, local courts, sheriff's department. We fund these things locally. Of course, federal government's more and more intrusive in all of those areas and wants to run everything. All the more reason to have somebody in the Oval Office who is not a career politician, who is somebody who can see things a little differently, and it will go to serve and leave again. That being said, he needs somebody, and that's why my first pick was Scott Walker. He needs somebody who understands the legislative process as a vice president to help him get these issues, whatever the issue is that he's going to work on, hopefully a balanced budget amendment, through the Congress, and to get Congress moving. They have continually done continuing resolutions since Harry Reid first took over the majority in the Senate, where he was the majority leader in the Senate. They've not produced a budget since. And now again this year, when there's a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate of Republicans, they're going to go with a CR again, a continuing resolution. You know, you need to fund the laws that are on the books, like Yucca Mountain. Fund them so we can hear the science, so we can make an intelligent decision whether it's good or not. But that's not what happens. What happens is we get a guy in there and, well, let's go back to the Marx brothers. You know, be careful who you elect, folks, because this is what some of them really think.
If it's not asking too much, for our information, just for illustration, tell us how you intend to run the nation.
These are the laws of my administration. No one's allowed to smoke or tell a dirty joke, and whistling is forbidden. We're not allowed to tell a dirty joke. There will be no none. If chewing gum is chewed, the chewer is pursued, and in the hoosegow hidden. If we choose to chew, we'll be pursued. If any form of pleasure is exhibited, Report to me and it will be prohibited. I'll put my foot down, so shall it be. This is the land of the free. The last man nearly ruined this place. He didn't know what to do with it. If you think this country's bad off now, just wait till I get through with it. The country's taxes must be fixed, and I know what to do with it. If you think you're paying too much now, just wait till I get through with it. I will not stand for anything that's crooked or unfair. I'm strictly on the up and up, so everyone beware. If anyone's caught taking graft and I don't get my share, we stand them up against the wall and pop goes the weasel. So everyone beware, who's crooked or unfair. No mistake of this and that, every share. If any man should come between a husband and his bride, we find out which one she prefers by letting her decide. If she prefers the other man, the husband steps outside. We stand him up against the wall and pop goes the weasel. The husband steps outside, relinquishes his bride. They stand him up against the wall and take him for a ride.
I love Groucho. He's just hilarious. Anyway, that's pretty much what happens when they get up there. They make laws that aren't even, you notice he said whistling is prohibited, and then he whistles. You know, insider trading has been illegal for years, but, you know, those guys are not held to that standard. So, you know, some of them, you ask them how'd they make their money, they said they made good investments. Yeah, because they had inside information on where that road was going to go or where this project was going to be. It's sad, but that's funny. I mean, Groucho is hilarious. I hope you enjoyed it. I've said probably more than enough for this month, and I hope I'll be back next month, maybe. We'll see what happens. These opinions have been mine, not those of this station and all the other disclaimers that they want to usually give out. So next month, though, we will talk about medical marijuana here in Nye County and what its effect is on the local citizens and how we are working to get Clark County and the city of Las Vegas to play fair. So have a good week or month and see you next time.